Join me as we talk all things true crime.
Made contact and shattered.
The missing 4-year-old. The parents have called the alibis, but the mother has went through a wall, came home, now they can't find her.
Chad, where are Lori's kids? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say?
4 were stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep during the attack. Some had defensive wounds.
Most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Once I told the lie, and I told my family, I had to keep lying.
What's your, is it deemed?
We haven't cleared anybody.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here for another ATS News live stream. So we are doing the Madeline Soto case. We've been digging into the 900 pages of documents for the past few months. Just a lot of heartbreaking information that we've kind of uncovered just in those documents. And it's gotten even more crazy and heartbreaking with the interviews that are out. So hello, Debbie Fox, Jay, good to see you. Johnny's here letting me know that sound is good. Thanks so much. Tony, Zoe, good to see you guys. 6 early human fans. Cindy, good to see you. Sexy Wild Thing, Carol freaking Claus is here. So happy to see you. Mary Beth. All right, guys, Dustin's here. Let's get into it. So we're going to, hi, Pointer Lover. Good to see you as well. Hit that thumbs up. Hi, Vidin. Good to see you keenly. So this case has been very kind of upsetting to kind of unravel, but we are in it for the long haul for justice for Madeline, and we're just going to see it through. So let's listen to the parents' interview. While we listen to that, I am going to share some images. So let me just make sure you guys can see. So I'm going through the Freedom of Information Act photos, and this was sent to me kindly by our dear friend, hey Seth, Teresa at Criminality, and I haven't even had a chance to really dig deep into these files, but I do have some photos that I made sure I could share live because some of the photos are not appropriate for YouTube at all, and they're just horrific. So while I play the audio of the Stephan Stern's parents interview, I'm going to just have the photos on the screen, and then we can just have a visual, and then we can pause it when we need to and all that. So again, thank you guys so much for being here, and let's just start digging into it. So let me know if you can hear it.
There we go, that's better. I may fix a cup of coffee. I'm always thirsty these days. Lucy, we're both on diets. We're taking, she's taking Ozempic, I'm taking Manjaro. And
okay,
I've
thank
lost
you.
nearly 40 pounds.
Wow.
28. And I'm
So again, this is Stephan Stern's mother and father's police interview. We're going to get through as much as we can tonight. I do have family coming in from upstate. They're on their drive now. Let me see if I can turn it up a little bit.
I just have to keep hydrated all the time. It's just always thirsty. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for meeting with us this morning.
Our pleasure.
This has been a long few days, long week, and I can imagine what it is for you guys.
Full of lots of surprises.
Yeah.
We're in the 7th ring of hell.
So the reason we made the trip down here today is I know you spoke to Alex, I think.
Yeah, Alex, yeah.
Yeah, with Orange County, and may have spoke to Corporal Ilgen that worked with us.
Is he this tall, slim guy?
No,
Is he
he's
at Orange County also?
I think you may have talked to him out in the parking lot in Orange County.
Yeah.
Bald guy, probably wearing a SWAT shirt.
No, that didn't work. There was somebody else I thought was from Kissimmee PD, but and I thought actually you were him, but obviously not.
So
You're better looking than he is.
I appreciate it. But since I'm the lead detective and he's my partner in the case, we kind of want to get eyes and talk to everybody that's involved. That's the only reason. So the reason we're here is basically try to get a background of what you know about Stephan and Jennifer's relationship and that sort of thing and stuff like that. So we can do it one of two ways. I can just give you guys the floor and you can let us know what their dynamic was, or I could do it question and answer wise, whatever's more comfortable for you.
Well, if you do it question and answer wise, you'll get the answers that you wanted. If you let us sit here and ramble on for half an hour, you may not get what you want. You still have to ask the question.
Fair enough for me.
We can fill in the gaps.
Yes.
All right. So, any idea how long Stephan and Jen have been in a relationship?
7 years.
7 years.
7 to 8 years, somewhere in there.
Okay. And was it constant throughout those 7 and 8 years, or on and off, or?
They were friends first, close friends first, and then it evolved into a romantic relationship. I think probably the first 18 months was just friendship, and then it changed from there. And no, we did not like the relationship.
Why
Hey,
not?
Scott.
Didn't approve of it.
No.
Why
She
is
was
that?
bad influence on it because of her
Drugs.
well, drugs plus I think she was taking medications for depression, anxiety, what have you, and I just didn't feel that she was going to be a good influence for him.
So they didn't like Jen, basically calling her the bad influence because of drugs. And it sounds like prescription drugs.
Bipolar. She's bisexual. She's a drug addict. She had a young child. The family was disapproving, and she was sharing those drugs with Stephan. And I don't approve of vaping. We don't do any drugs. We don't even drink. I can't even take specified medication for pain.
Even if she was sharing those drugs with Stephan, it sounds like Stephan's issues, from everything that we heard from previous friends, from roommates, and even remember when we were going through his Reddit posts and other people were going through stuff he was posting on Reddit. He obviously had his own issues, not even attached to Jen. But like you guys have stated in chat, some mothers and parents, like they really feel like their children can do no wrong. So if somebody's going to be the issue in this situation, they're making it seem as though it was Jen.
Because my body rejects them, and I get really, really sick from them. So, I mean, went through open heart surgery on Tylenol.
Wow.
So it's
And they were both they slept all the time.
Yeah.
And we had a hard enough time dealing with Stephan sleeping all the time, and now he's got a relationship with somebody else that does it as well. It's like they were feeding off of each other, none of it in a positive way. And that's why I disapprove of a lot of Stephan's
that's the only
people.
thing. Yeah, only thing her mother and I approved of together was the fact that we didn't approve of the relationship, because if Jim started spiraling down one of her holes of depression, she took Stephan with him. If he was depressed, he brought her in, and it was just always like a balancing act with those two. This is not good. It's not a good dynamic.
When you said they were always sleeping, like constantly,
Yeah.
were they taking medicine to go sleeping, or they were just?
They would fake out.
Yeah. Well, Stephan has a sleeping disorder, sleep apnea, and so he's been tested for it, and his he would be up all night and sleep all day, type of deal. And
Yes, I'm pretty positive that Stephan is their only child. I believe. Let me know if I'm wrong on that, guys.
We really didn't have that much physical interaction with them.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that we just observed from a distance, and trying to talk to Stefan at times, but we just really didn't have any social activity with him to speak of.
Okay, Honey Duke says that he has an older brother. Okay, 10 years older. Interesting. Okay, thank you. Stefan's mother has another son that has nothing to do with her. Interesting. We haven't heard much about the older brother at all.
When Stefan would be here in town, like, what would his routine be? Is he a homebody, or?
He locked himself in his room, and we would see him maybe once in a while, tell him dinner's ready, but he was constantly in his room all the time.
He was painting his little minis for Warhammer.
Yeah,
He spent a lot of time doing that.
He was painting his little minis for Warhammer or whatever. So obviously some hobby that he has related to gaming or collecting of figurines. I don't know.
A lot of time learning the new books as they came out. A lot of time online. He did
a lot of time online, and after they did the forensic poll of his phone and hard drives that were found, I think we know what he was doing all that time secluded in his room online. And yes, as an adult, yeah, he played Tamagotchis, all that.
He did go play Warhammer with the guys once a week. Tried to get him to go to the beach, tried to get him to go to church, tried to get him to go shooting with us. No.
Did he give an excuse why that he wouldn't want to go?
Feel like it.
Just no motivation.
And he walked around with Jen on the phone on FaceTime all the time. I would be in the kitchen, I would look up and I would see Jen, and she's like, oh. And I look at her and her eyes are open. I said, Jen, are you baked? And she says, oh yeah. I'm like,
and this is recently or throughout the years?
The last few weeks, yeah.
Okay.
He wasn't. I brought him back in December because I was supporting him living there, and I didn't know that I was supporting the whole family.
Dustin.
Again, Stefan's great at omitting information, not being transparent with me, and I just reached the point. I said, I can't afford to have you working for Disney, and there's always a deficit in this budget for one reason or another, but somehow he had expensive toys and what have you. Where the money came for that, he didn't even after he arrived here. Packages would arrive, and I said, well, I'm not giving him any money. Where the hell is it? Stephan, it's money I saved. And I said, you're going Bohica. You know what Bohica is? It's an acronym. Bend over, here it comes again. And
so his dad's, gave him some money, but noticed that he was, buying all this stuff, figurines, all these packages showing up. She apparently was smoking weed, Jay. I think, because the mom said, I asked her, I saw her eyes and I asked her, are you baked? And she said, oh, yeah. So I feel like baked is, referring to marijuana. I don't know. Yeah, anything his parents can blame Jen for, they will. So our question is right now, where was Stefan getting all this money? I think so. Pointer lover.
And, he called me up and said, well, I'm short of funds. Can you, sell me $150, send him that. But meanwhile, now he's telling me he's got money in savings, which I didn't believe. So where the money was coming from, I have no idea. But these packages just kept arriving.
When you would support him, how would you get him money?
I sell it.
Okay.
And I paid him, Juan charged Jen rent, and then in November of 2022, the reason why I know that because I looked it up the other day. I said, how far back have I been paid rent there? But he started charging Stefan rent, even though he was sharing a room with Jen. And then they decided that they weren't going to be in a relationship anymore, and he took over a full room, and now I had to pay $600. And so this just kept escalating. He wasn't taking care of his car. Waiting for that shoe to drop. So finally, I said, I can't afford you to live there anymore, and I moved him back here. And I thought, we had hoped that the year that he had spent at Disney, that he had matured and was now,
I'm sorry, that just sounded so funny. We had thought, the year that he spent at Disney, he would mature. Who matures when they visit Disney, even as a worker? Like, I'm sorry, that's just the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Carol freaking Claus says, along with all Jen Soto's lies, I even wonder if she lied about that sicko and Madeline did sleep in a different room that night, if she didn't lie about that too. Yeah, she's just full of lies. Right. You mature at a kid's theme park. Right. Exactly. I become 7 years old all over again when I go to Disney. I know it, Jay, right? Yeah, I wonder why he took that job. The ex-friend talked about being at dinner and the mom bringing money to pay for a situation. Right. Just throw a little money and that'll, clear things up with your son's problems.
Accepting responsibility and had a disciplined routine, and that I could bring him back here and help him maybe develop into something with a better career path than working for Disney forever and not getting anywhere, because at $30,000 a year, he couldn't support himself if he wanted to live on his own. Right. And that turned out to be a huge disappointment, because he fell right back into his same MO. Lock himself in his room, wouldn't help us around the house. And we were like on eggshells, because when he was here, it was always tension because of his sleep disorder, and the dogs obviously are not the quietest things. Right. And, they have their routine. We have our routine. So we let them out in the evening, and it's chaos with them. We let them out in the morning, it's chaos. But for the most of the time, they're at feeding time, they're quiet. But again, that would disturb him, but didn't want to cause a flare up with him.
So when it would disturb him with the dogs, was that during the daytime, or was him trying to sleep at night?
Oh, it could be any time.
Oh, okay.
If anybody comes to the door, get a package, a rat farts in the yard, doesn't matter, they hear it.
So if he's sleeping during the day and we're doing our daily routine, there's going to be distraction. If I come in the house and go, hey, I'm home, they'd be on work.
Right.
So, but I would just hope that he was soundly sleeping and that he would just sleep through it. But occasionally you would hear a bark out from him,
or he had his headphones on.
Yeah.
So when you said you brought him back in December, do you remember when first part of December, end of December?
I had to look up. It'd be early part of December, because I was trying to get him out of there. I thought it was the end of November. It could have been at the very end of November or the very first part of December, because I didn't want to owe Juan another month's rent. I wanted him out of there. Did he?
The tape is on the car, this red tape. It says evidence on it. It's put on there from law enforcement. They do that when they process vehicles as evidence, and then this way that it wasn't like tampered with.
You mentioned if they were split up at that time, or if they were still.
Well, they were supposed to be officially broken up.
Mm-hmm. Did he ever say why they broke up?
They just, yes and no. Jen told me as recently as last week, she didn't want him as a partner. Mm-hmm. She realized that he was not going to be a good partner, but I assume that they both recognized that they wanted to go their separate ways. And I would say that occurred several months before, because there was one time he mentioned he was socializing with somebody at Disney, and that didn't go over well or something. She didn't like that. So
I told him.
The person that he was conversing with at Disney, who his dad was just talking to about, was so him and Jen broke things off. And remember, we read an interview weeks and weeks ago of this coworker at Disney who Stephan was sort of seeing casually. And she stated that Stephan told her that one night he woke up with an erection next to Maddie. And then this girl was like, kind of turned off by all that. And then they just never really like went any further with their relationship. So that's who his dad's referring to, I believe.
We both told him he would never get into a healthy relationship until he got away from her, because what are you going to do? You're renting a room, you're going to bring a new woman into your room with your ex in the next room? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a bad recipe.
Did this ever happen within the last 7 years? Did they break up and get back together and that sort of thing?
Melanie.
I seem to recollect that there was, there might have been a pause in that relationship, maybe to the extent of how involved the relationship was, and maybe it became more social than more of a relationship type of thing. Mm-hmm. But again, clueless as to exactly the extent of how involved the relationship really was. I mean, I always thought it was just good friends and sex with benefit type of thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how committed they were to one another.
And that was going on all the way up until December.
Well, actually, before December, because like I said, when he went into the room on his own, that basically was probably the time that the relationship ended. So,
do you remember when that was? You said November?
Yeah, I'm going to try it. Let's see. He left in December, maybe 3 or 4 months before he pulled out of there. I think I only paid 3 or 4 months at $600, maybe 3 months. I'd have to look it up.
Do you know if when he came back here in December, was he ever making trips back to Kissimmee at all?
There was I think 3 occasions he went back. This last trip, mm-hmm. with when all this stuff happened, a trip before that, and then he went back for Thanksgiving, or he was there for Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah, so he wasn't invited to the family events, and but he was there at that time.
Okay. I'm assuming just visiting Jen, or was he visiting other people?
He was visiting Jen.
Yeah, I wouldn't know who else he would be associated with at that time.
Okay.
I don't think he had any relationships.
I agree, Tony.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I think there was a time or two he mentioned that he was going to go out with some cast members after work.
Mm-hmm. But Bear was one of them.
Yeah, but that's the only time.
Has he ever lived in Kissimmee prior to meeting Jen?
No.
Okay, always here in Northport, or has he lived out elsewhere?
Well, we moved here May of 2020, so it was always at our home there, or he lived here then.
Okay.
We finally got him out of here, and there was an opportunity for him to go live in Kissimmee.
We finally got him out of here.
Okay. But with Jen is when he went to Kissimmee.
Yeah, not on his own.
They were both supposed to be working at Disney together, but she can't keep a job.
Mm-hmm. Do you know why?
Because of the bipolar.
Well,
she doesn't want to lose her state benefits.
But depending on the type of work, she had back issues or something. Mm-hmm. So she couldn't do physical things. And now she did have a job as a concierge that didn't require any pressure or stress on her back or something. Mm-hmm. But there was always something that prevented her from working. Couldn't do dog sitting or whatever job it was, it would last no more than 2 weeks. And then she'd be back.
She was going to go to school for nursing. And I'm thinking, oh my God, save the world.
Well, then she was going to get into graphic design.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dad bought her an Apple computer thinking she was going to take these classes or online, and that didn't last long either.
And you're hearing this from
her,
Stephan? Oh, from both of them. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And everything that we're basically telling you is a lot of it's hearsay from what we were told. We didn't physically observe this. Mm-hmm. Any of this stuff. Very, very little interaction with them. And when they were here, they were either in Stefan's room. Maddie always slept with Debbie, but Maddie floated around here, played with the dogs, did things that little girls do with Debbie.
We did some arts and crafts together.
You were teaching her knitting?
Crocheting,
yeah.
So that was going to be my next question. So Jen and Maddie and Stefan came here to visit at some point, or a few times maybe.
Yeah, but if he was here, living here, she would actually come down.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, very few trips. The last trip we saw them was, and we didn't see, I think we saw them early 2023, and then maybe for Thanksgiving 2022.
Okay. And then when they were here, you're saying Stefan and Jen would sleep in or would hang out in Stefan's room. And then Maddie would sleep with you? Or be with you? Okay. Why is that? You know?
Number one, he's a slob. Number two, he only has a queen size bed.
Okay.
And number three, I didn't think it was a healthy environment. Like, they were going to have her sleeping on the floor, on a sleeping bag. And I said, I have a king size bed. I sleep on 36 inches of it. There's a whole side of a bed. Why can't she be comfortable? So I just insisted that she come in with me, and I had the dogs with me. So if she got up, what Jen used to tell me was, you know, she would wake up in the middle of the night and she'd come and climb in bed with them. I said, well, you're gonna have the dogs here. If you get out of bed, you're gonna rouse the dogs up.
I got you. Did they ever talk about their sleeping arrangements at their house in Kissimmee?
Just what I just told you. That if she had a bad dream or something, she would come in, and I told her as Maddie got older, because we've known Maddie for 7 years, we watched her grow up. I mean, it's very hard, but she was a sweet girl, she was. But then she started, in the last year, she started showing signs of bipolar as well. And Jen was horrified by that. They were buddies.
Now, was she showing signs of bipolar, or was she dealing with a lot of internal warfare because of what was happening to her?
Heads like two rams. They were fighting all the time, and they're presenting a very different family dynamic than what they told us was going on.
And you witnessed them butting heads, or?
No, I would be on the phone with Stephan. I would hear them going at each other in the background. That's, you know, and I would say, what's going on? Well, Maddie and Jenny are at it again, you know, and I gotta go break this up. So he would go be the peacekeeper. But I just put that down to puberty. She started puberty at 11.
Right.
It's hormones in me, but anyhow, she developed quickly, became pretty precocious, and other than that, I don't think she had a lot of friends at school. I don't think that she was a very social person. She had been, if you remember.
And her not being social or having friends at school could be a direct result of what was going on between her and Stefan behind closed doors.
Stephan and Jen both told us that after she began developing physically, that there were some boys at school last year that would push her up against the wall and grab a feel and bully her. And they were having a hard time with the school getting it stopped.
But anyway, when they visited here, she was either out here or they were watching movies together. But when it came to sleeping time, she was definitely in Deb's room.
Okay. Any time where either Jen and Maddie would be sleeping in that room without Stefan, or okay, so the only person that would separate from them would be Maddie when she was sleeping with you.
And like I say, she was always floating around because, you know, she was bored.
And before that, as you see the holes, we had a TV there. We didn't have one in my room that was big, very big, but we moved that one. So I would sit out here with Maddie when they were in there, and we'd watch TV together too. We even got the Disney Channel for her, so she'd have it.
Do you know if Maddie or Jen, when they were sleeping here, did they take medicine at night or anything like that you know of?
No,
Or did Stefan take any, has he been prescribed any medication?
he has been prescribed an anti-anxiety medication and a ADHD medication. He's got Adderall and something, clomidine, for sleeping. I don't know what the first part of it is, but.
So Adderall, and yet he was still a lazy bum.
Really didn't know his medical routines at all, hers or Jen's, other than the fact that
she was always changing medications.
She was, I think, taking medication for depression and anxiety and bipolar.
Hey, Roxanne.
I don't know anything beyond that.
She had a prescription for medical marijuana.
Medical marijuana.
And so she vaped all the time, and she shared it with Stephan. I wouldn't allow it in my house. I don't like the smell of it. I said, if you're gonna do that, you have to be outside. You just can't bring it in here.
Now, after Stefan moved back here in December and he made the trips back to Kissimmee, would he drive the silver car? Or your
No, that's
car?
the first time he ever drove that.
No. He drove the silver car
Oh, that's
because
right.
his car was in dire need of servicing. So I said, last thing I wanted to do is go 2 hours north and be stranded. And now I'm dealing with a disabled car.
Mhm.
So I knew that car was up in maintenance, so I let him drive that car.
What's wrong with his car?
It's 1,000 miles over service. The brake jobs need to be done. He hasn't taken care of that car at all. It's probably going to need about $2,000 to $3,000 worth of repair on it. I'm sure if I take it in, I'm sure it's going to be $2,000 to $3,000. AC was been acting up on it, but I didn't trust him for long trips. If he was just if he was in Kissimmee commuting to Disney, that's one thing, but not long trips. In fact, I had him tow it down here, not drive it down.
Got it. So is it safe to say this last time he came and then maybe Thanksgiving or Christmas is when he took the silver car, or Thanksgiving?
So this last time, then he made it. When he came down here, he made a trip. When he first got down here, he made another trip back to get more stuff.
Okay.
So that was one trip, and then there was a trip in between. I guess he went up for Christmas because I think he was here for Thanksgiving. And then there was this most recent trip. So as far as I know, I think it was just 3 trips.
Now, when he would come back from there, would he have like loads of stuff? Like, I don't want to say furniture because
So this is the thing too, is like, we're talking about how his parents probably never disciplined him. They probably babied him, etc. His dad gives him his car, like an extra car of the family, is that Lincoln. He's like, well, his car, was 1,000 miles over service. He didn't take care of it. I didn't want him taking it on long trips. Like, he's 30 something years old. You tell him, you either let him take his POS car where he can break down and then he gets his stuff together. It's just the way that they treat him. It really is like he's like 15, right? Like, I don't know. Like, it's nice that they have that extra Lincoln to give their son because his car is a POS. But like, in order to teach your children, and this guy is a 30-something-year-old child, you don't keep handing them things to, like, don't give them the easy way out. Like, the easy way out was them giving him the Lincoln. It's just the way that these parents are thinking. It's like they literally are treating him like he's like 15.
It would just be leftover stuff that, for whatever reason, he had a 10-foot truck, and just the front end of it and all of it, the back was available.
So he rented a moving truck to grab.
I rented it.
Oh, okay.
It was more truck than he needed, and why he didn't get everything he had was ridiculous, because it basically they came down to this typical modus operandi. He waited till the last minute, and then didn't have enough time to put stuff up there or whatever, but he didn't bring everything back with him.
Got it. Did he say why he didn't grab his stuff?
He didn't have to. Well, basically, if he did, it wasn't enough. He didn't have enough time. It's like bullshit. He had weeks to plan for this. I kept on him about that. He's completely opposite me. I start to organize stuff and get stuff done, not wait till the last minute, but he waited until the last minute.
And you know what's interesting too about your comment here, Loco, is so they say he's mentally stuck at 8 years old. I wonder what happened to him when he was 8. So we're talking about how they baby him and all this stuff. And then thinking back now about a roommate or a childhood, it was a childhood friend who had that interview with Gray Hughes and talked about how Stefan's mother bought Stefan like porno magazines when they were just like 12 or 13. So it's like at that time when he was a child, his mother's giving him material of things that like you shouldn't be giving a child. And then now that he's in his 30s, late 30s, they're treating him like a child. It's just very like backwards, it seems.
Very frustrating.
How long was he in Kissimmee when he made these trips?
Well, he stayed up there if he went up there, he was up there for the day. Maybe he stayed up there a day or two.
Right. She's bashing weed, but she gave her kid porn. And that is coming from a friend. So technically it's hearsay, but everything else seemed pretty accurate from that friend anyways. Yeah, he was hit in the head from a truck. He was hit by a car. I don't think that happened at 8 though. From what I remember, that was like later in his thank you, Roxanne. That was later in his teen years, I think.
Usually.
No rush to get back. No urgency to come back.
This last time he went up here, or to Kissimmee.
Could be.
Did he say why he was going to Kissimmee?
Her birthday.
Her birthday. Okay. Did he say he was invited to a party or anything like that, or?
I think he was
asked to please come.
And you heard Maddie call? Okay.
Yes.
And do you remember when that was? 'Cause I know she had a party on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know
was
when?
it Saturday?
I guess.
Or was it?
To make sure he was coming.
Something odd on Saturday. I don't know if was he invited on Saturday? Or did he just say Sunday I'm going to Kissimmee?
No. I knew the week before because I found the gifts for Maddie.
Okay. He seemed to be very upset. Matter of fact, he came to me and said, "Do you have any anxiety medication?" I go, "No, sorry, don't have anything like that. Everything I have is for diabetes or heart." And
okay, so thank you guys. Got a little tickle in my nose. But so last night we were on Alex Erickson's channel. I think a lot of you guys were there and listened in on that discussion. It was a really good discussion that we had on this case. So check it out after this stream if you want more brainstorming and all that. So we talked about this specific topic. So Stefan's father is speaking about the Saturday before her birthday party. So Sunday was the birthday party. Monday, she's reported missing. Saturday, he's at his parents' house acting anxious, asked his father for anxiety medicine. And we were kind of wondering, why he was so anxious. Hi, Roberto. Good to see you. And thanks for being here. So why was he so anxious? And thank you, Johnny's handing out tacos. And we kind of theorized that maybe Maddie started withdrawing from him in a way where he was worried that like she's going to say something or, maybe even that too, Jay. Again, there still has been no information or charges related to a fetus being involved in this case. But let's keep that on the table because we can't say no 100% yet. But I'm also wondering if like maybe he was getting the vibe that Madeline was like turning on him, like not down for their arrangement. Maybe she threatened to tell or something. So he goes there on her birthday party Sunday in hopes to smooth things over and, reel her back in. And she didn't take the bait. And maybe that's why things kind of escalated. But again, it's just a theory. So what do you guys think Stefan was anxious about? So we already seen Jay, and now Tony says, I feel he was afraid he was losing control of Maddie and didn't want anyone else to have the control. Now, also in relation to that as well, remember Stefan and Jennifer Soto both say they talk about how Maddie had a crush on a boy. So that always kind of stood out to me as well. Like, what if that has some sort of relation to her pulling away from Stefan or something?
And he went to Debbie, which I don't have any. And then he came back and said, "Well, I found some 4-year-old stuff." I said, "Oh, okay." But he was he was suffering from high anxiety, man. I don't know what he was stressed out about.
When was this?
Sometime in the evening. I don't know.
Oh, Saturday or
Saturday.
days prior to that?
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he's making, and then I guess the medication worked, and again, he looked like
That's a good question, Jay. We haven't heard anything about that boy that she had a crush on, besides the mom saying it and her also stating like, but I went through their text messages and nothing was weird or something like that. I think one of the friends, if you guys remember too, let me know, stated that the boy was not interested back in Madeline. Like it was only like one-sided. She was interested in him.
was like very stressed out.
Have you ever seen him like that before?
Yes, when he was very stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, better kept telling, not sure if he's going to blow up or not. He seemed like he was calm enough, but, I didn't know if anything could trigger him or not.
So, very interesting timing when we're talking about the timeline, right? So Saturday, parents notice Stefan's very stressed and anxious. Not only do they notice it, but Stefan pretty much asks for anxiety medicine. Sunday is the birthday party.
Did it seem like he was more in fear of something or scared of something or just...
It was a different, other than, being really upset about something, it looked like he was stressed out over something that obviously he never shared any of his feelings with us. And I had no idea it was stressing him out.
Now, why wouldn't the parents just say, like, if he goes in there and he's like, do you have any anxiety medicine? And he's like, no, all I have is stuff for diabetes and heart health. Why wouldn't they say, like, why, what's up? What's going on? What's the matter? I don't know.
But something really had him upset.
Angry upset or just not that type of upset?
Not angry upset, but just something worrisome. Just seemed like there was something that was really preying on him, and it was not settling well with him.
Mm-hmm. And that's when he told you guys he was going to Kissimmee, or did he tell mom prior to that?
Well, he was making plans to go to Kissimmee, and I don't know exactly when this happened, whether he told me on Saturday, but I knew he was leaving Sunday because we talked about the expense of that trip, and he said, well, Jen's going to pay for the trip, because I was done paying for this stuff. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, Jen's going to pay for it. I said, well, go down and fill up the car, and I'll take care of that. That would be enough gas for him to get up and get back, because that's all he was going to do. Mm-hmm. And so I'm assuming that the plans were submitted on Saturday, but you're telling me that you knew about it a week in advance, and maybe he started planning that a week in advance, but I wasn't aware of it until the last minute.
Mm-hmm. But he didn't have this fearful reaction earlier that week. It was just that Saturday.
Yeah.
Did he say how long he planned on staying in Kissimmee?
A week.
A week.
Yeah, I was planning we were planning on him to be gone for a week because we were welcoming the break.
Mm.
What did you buy her as a gift? You said you got her a gift?
I had ordered something, and they looked marvelous, but then I got it, and I think this is really probably too juvenile for me to wear. It's called Mermaid's Beads, and it's made out of sea glass, and it was a dual color bracelet, and they had the stud earrings and the same thing, and they were kind of opalescent. So they're really neat. It's by No Goo, and it's mermaid tears. But I said, these are still in the box. I've never even worn them. I said, why spend money on something? This is something she would really like, because I knew her enough to know this was something right up her alley. And I said, this is $90 worth of a gift, that's just going to sit.
Yes. So just going to pause it. His mother's talking about a gift that was given to Maddie, one of her pieces of jewelry, sand glass, which is really cool, actually. Hold on. Okay. So Loco says he planned it. And then Tony follows that up with, I think he originally had a plan and then turned impulsive, in my opinion. I think so too. Like, I think as far as if it's a theory that is accurate, that he thought the world was going to come crumbling down and people were going to find out about him and Maddie. That's why he was stressing on Saturday, that he had it in his mind, like, I got to go there and smooth things out. And, you know, I'll reel her back in. She won't tell anybody. You know, she knows I love her. Like, I think that there was just so much manipulation in his plan. But then, like you said, Tony, I think that Maddie was just done. Like, I'm not doing this. And the plan that he originally had about smoothing it over and everything will be fine and I'll manipulate her back into my life. Then it turned into, I have to silence her. And then that's why it was so impulsive and a mess, in my opinion. And here you can see the screen in this room. Those are some of these are like the dividers. So when we talked about how Maddie didn't have a real bedroom and that she was sleeping in the living room, like I think that this is where she was sleeping. This at least was somebody's sleeping arrangement in the living room, not a real room.
Could be doing good someplace somebody could enjoy it. So just gave him the boxes and said, you want to gift wrap them? He said, no, I'll just take them like this.
How did you guys come to hear about everything that happened on Monday?
Okay, before we get the answer to that, this is a good point, Tony. The fact that Stefan told his parents that Jen was going to pay for it. The fact that Jen was going to pay for it makes me think she wanted him there pretty dang bad. But for what reason? Surely not to just sleep with Maddie so Jen could get her sleep. Right. Maybe Jen also was filled in on Maddie, like, not being okay with things. I don't know. That's a good point, though. Like, for her to want to pay for Stefan to get there. It's like, why? Okay, so let's hear the answer to this question.
So I tried reaching Stephan. He called me when he got to the city Sunday.
Any idea when he called you?
I know exactly because I wrote out the timeline this morning.
Okay.
6:48 p.m. But then I noticed on some pass that he was out around 8:30, 8:48, and there were two sun pass tolls. And I said, well, maybe they had gone out or something. But I said, okay, that's a little weird. So that I tried to get a hold of him several times Monday morning, or maybe noonish or so, maybe as late as 2:30ish or something, and then I got a call from him at 3:17. Mm-hmm. And his voice sounded a little off to me. I thought, well, maybe he was just, tired and maybe he didn't get a good night's sleep or what have you. And then...
Oh, he was tired and he didn't get a good night's sleep, that's for sure.
During that conversation, he says, oh, by the way, I had a flat tire. Radar goes up. I go, what do you mean you had a flat tire? Where could you have gotten a flat tire? Now, I'm not going to say you can't pick up a flat tire anywhere, but he's just driving from here to the apartment and he shouldn't be driving anywhere else, per se. Mm-hmm. Oh, I just got a flat tire. Okay, where? 192. And then he described the fact that the tire was so flat that he ran the rubber off the wheel. Okay, 192, plenty of places to pull over, and you're driving the rubber off the wheel. So then he described that he was changing the tire and that didn't have it set right, and the jack collapsed somewhat and trapped his thumb between the frame and the jack and did hurt himself severely. And I think the conversation lasted about 3 minutes. And I said, well, let's get the car into a tire place and see what's going to cost to repair it. I'm sitting there counting. It's going to cost me several $100s for this now. Mm-hmm. And then that was it. And then 4:54. I'm just getting out of the car, meeting a customer. I'm going to take him into a house, and he calls, and he says, "I'm en route to Maddie's grandmother. There's been an occurrence." I said, "Well, that's a strange word to use, but okay." And then I'm thinking, well, this is weird. 2 events in one afternoon: a flat tire, and now this. And so he said, "Well,
There's been an occurrence."
I took Maddie to school this morning, and I dropped her off just down from the school because Maddie didn't want to be seen dropped off in front of the school because I'm not driving a cool enough car." I said, "Okay, well, understand that. Teenager, peer pressure, what have you." Mm-hmm. And he said, I watched her walk towards the school down the rearview mirror as I pulled away. And so then he goes on to describe that she wasn't, it's been reported that she wasn't at school. We went to pick her up, and she wasn't there. Then we come to find out she had been at school all day. And then he starts to describe that the area is a high abduction area. Kids are stolen for abducted, kidnapped for sex trafficking. And
so Stefan's trying to kind of play it off to his father, this narrative of like, well, it's a high kidnapped area. So, already Stefan's already got a narrative that he wants to push, and he's pushing it on his father. Yeah, these people and their sleep issues. I saw Debbie Fox say something that I agreed with too. Like, why isn't the mother, sleeping on a couch and give her child the bed? Very selfish of her. Everything that we see about Jen Soto is very selfish. And like Vidin says, when my daughter was 9 and we were first out on our own, I slept on the couch so she could have her own bed. And that just reminded me of like when my parents divorced, my dad got this 1-bedroom apartment. And I was supposed to be living with my mom. Well, teenager and all that, like we weren't getting along. So I said, fine, I'm going to go live with dad. And I go to live at my dad's. He gives me the 1-bedroom, and he literally slept on the floor. Like there was a love seat that wasn't like big enough for him to sleep on. And he made his own bed like on the floor. So yeah, parents, you don't put your kid in a little room cornered off with screens and stuff in the living room, and it's just, yeah, she lacks some maternal instincts, like Jay said. Right. An occurrence, what a strange word.
And that there's a good chance that she's been abducted. Mm-hmm. Typical questions. Well, what have you done to try to locate her? Have you contacted her old friends, social media? Where's her phone? Oh, she left her phone at home. Oh, okay.
So he gets a flat tire. There's been an occurrence, and Maddie left her phone at home. So I'm pretty sure the father is just like, what's going on here?
Yeah, she does that from time to time. And it was a 3-minute conversation, and he was sobbing. He was really sounded upset that he was holding himself responsible for this. Mm-hmm. Same routine that he did in that Tuesday interview. I think he was rehearsing it on me. Mm-hmm. And it was exactly the same routine.
Same thing he did in that interview. I think he was rehearsing it on me. Very interesting. So the mother defends the son. The father's pretty much throwing him under the bus. I wonder what the mother's thinking while she's sitting there silently.
An explanation of the whole deal. And so then I kept in touch with them throughout the evening because they were waiting for police to show up, and it was hours, and I just kept checking in, any news. And then that was it until Tuesday. And then I didn't talk to him again until Tuesday, maybe it was the afternoon. And again, just trying to get an update, what's going on. And then as the day expanded, then police were now more involved. And there's interaction between, I guess, your department and the two of them.
backtracking to Monday. So you talked to him. You said you tried calling him. When you tried calling him, did the call go right to voicemail, or did it ring a few times?
Combination of all of that. I mean, let me get my notepad.
And by the way, Jim had mentioned several times that Maddie was going through a phase where she didn't want to look uncool, and that it had become their routine to drop her off 1 block from school and pick her up 1 block from school.
And she told you this?
Yes. And never said anything about it being a high traffic area or anything like that. She just said, it's a straight shot. We can see the school. There's an overpass. We make sure nobody's in the overpass, and so we just watch. And then Stephan said he took her by himself. And then in the interview, Jen said, we dropped him off. She said it several.
I think these images that we're looking at is Jen's room. I think. Because she was sleeping downstairs in a king-size bed. This looks like a king-size bed to me. I don't know. What do you guys think? These aren't like labeled, unfortunately.
So I don't know if, do you want any conjecture or no?
No.
The conjecture is that she and Maddie are the same size. She wore Maddie's clothes with the hoodie up to cover the dark hair instead of the light hair. And that was Jen we saw sitting at church in the picture. Because obviously, from what we've heard, Maddie was already gone by that time. So this elaborate charade put on for everybody's benefit.
This elaborate charade. You mean charade?
And she's cool, calm, and collected, and he's a sobbing, wet mess.
So now it goes from the dad throwing the son under the bus, basically saying that his behavior and actions were strange, to the mom, is chiming in and she's saying that, he's a sobbing mess and Jen Soto's cool, calm, and collected. Very interesting. It's like, are you guys ever on the same page? Like, even when it's like about other topics, because they're totally on different pages here.
So my call to him at 2:25 was 2 seconds, so no connection. And then he called me at 3:17, and that conversation lasted 3 minutes.
And you said he was upset at that time, or he seemed?
No, he seemed off, and I said, well, maybe the anxiety medications or what have you was keeping him somewhat kind of flat monotone in a way. Nothing upbeat about it. And then, matter of factly, I had a flat tire. We talked about that, and then.
Did he plan on taking the car to a tire shop? Did you guys confirm that plan? Or?
I told him to. I said, he's driving on a donut. And we both confirmed that, the donut wouldn't last long and that, he needed to get that quickly replaced. And I expected him to do it. I didn't expect for him to do it that day because that's not Stefan's modus operandi. I expected him to do it the next day. So then I didn't hear from him until he called me at 4:54. And that conversation lasted 3 minutes. And as I said, I heard this story about him dropping her off at school and the whole abduction thing, and I heard that even more later in the evening. But I thought to myself, how strange these two events happened, and within a short time of one another that afternoon.
Did you question him about it or no?
No, I didn't think about it.
Yes, Pointer Lover. Jen still has her Christmas tree up in her room. In February. And did you see how messy and cluttered her room was? And yet she had all these like plush stuffed animals and stuff. I don't know. Like, I love Disney. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you guys know I got this from my trip, the poison apple. Mostly got for like Halloween decoration, but then I figured I'd, have it on my live streams. But I don't know. It's very odd.
When the call came in, he starts telling me that this is just a thought I had. It's kind of strange that coincidence that there were two incidents like that in that afternoon.
Okay. So moving on, you spoke to him around 4-ish, and that's when he said Maddie's gone missing.
Yeah, more close to 5.
Okay. And then you didn't speak to him again until the following day. Is that correct?
No, I talked to him for 7 minutes at 6:02.
Okay.
6:02, and then again for 5 minutes at 6:22.
And is that just to get updates, or what's the conversation you're having?
Well, it was me. He called me at 6:02, and again, just briefing me, letting me know what's going on. There was an out call at 2 minutes at 6:18, and then another one at 6:22 for 5 minutes. And both of those, I was making the calls. And then nothing again until Tuesday at 12:16, 3 seconds there, and then out at 6:32, 1 minute. I'm not even sure if we had even a conversation. So that was, and then after that, no more calls from his phone. Now Jen's called me on her phone.
Okay. Did they tell you why?
There was a conversation about whether the police wanted his phone and whether he should give it to him. And I said, do you have any reason not to?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, no. And I said, then give me your phone. Let's get this cleared up. You know, what really upset me was in one of the conversations I had with him when it became apparent that he was going to be a person of interest. I said, well, you had your phone. You can document where you've been. Mm-hmm. Oh, I left my phone at home. Okay. Let's backtrack. Were you anywhere that a camera could have caught you? Where'd you go? And it didn't sound like he went anywhere that a camera could track him. So I said, well, I understand that, but I'm not sure, where a camera would have been. But, thinking he was innocent, trying to help, pinpoint where he was so he could document his whereabouts, because of my understanding, there was a 2-hour gap between when he supposedly dropped her off and then when he returned home, because he said he called Jen at 10:17. Mm-hmm. And that fact.
Isn't it interesting how, as they're really talking about like the walls closing in on Stephan, like, because right now he's saying like, I started getting calls from Jen's phone because they had Stephan's phone. Now, with everything that we've read through, we know why they took Stephan's phone. And his dad's trying to like help, for your alibi, like, your phone will show where you were. Well, I left my phone at home. So everything the father is basically saying at this point, he knows like, this doesn't sound good. This doesn't look good. The second that all this topic they start talking about this topic and things kind of not turning out well for their own son, the dog starts barking. So I don't know. I just think it's funny. Like, did the dog hear something outside, or is the dog picking up on the stress in the room as they're talking about Stephan, and everything kind of pointing to Stephan being the one?
My understanding why he called Jen at 10:17 was to get back into the community because she had to call him in. He didn't have his clicker.
Okay. Is he tech savvy?
My impression, no, but I'm hearing, hearsay from other people that he may have been. But when he told me that he was doing a OS update on his phone and it accidentally wiped out his phone, I cried bullshit. Mm-hmm. But there's always that one off. It could be, but when he starts saying, I accidentally pressed the button to reset it, then I knew it was bullshit. That's not in the process of an OS update. You just say, yes, go ahead and do it, and you leave it alone, and it updates it and lets you know that your phone's been updated. End of story. None of this other bullshit.
Do you pay for his phone, or does he pay for it?
I pay for it.
Did you want this coffee?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So they're talking about Stephan, like not looking innocent. The mother leaves the table and she's in the kitchen and she's asking the husband, do you want this coffee? It's like she didn't want to be there to listen to what she needs to sit there and listen to and acknowledge and recognize and accept. Also, looking at the laundry stuff, I find that those images, like, yes, it looks like, okay, big deal. This is washer and dryer. But we know early that morning, roommates stated that they saw Stefan washing clothes and that's very abnormal because Stefan doesn't do that. So when you're asphyxiated, a lot of people empty their bladder. Was he washing sheets because of that? We don't really know. Hold on. I got the audio coming from my phone, so give me a sec.
You put some cream in it, blonde like you know, and duke it in the microwave for 38 seconds.
How did you get to Kissimmee? Like, what made you go to Kissimmee?
Okay, so,
Right.
I got a call.
And that's the thing, like paying for his phone when he's in his late 30s, like, and then they complain about him. It's like he's a direct result of the way that you've done things for him. Same with giving him that Lincoln because his car was trashed. You don't just keep handing your children things, especially when they're in their 30s. Like at some point, they need to be forced to kind of do things themselves. So they say, oh, Stefan couldn't keep a job longer than 2 weeks. If you stop paying for his phone, maybe he would so that he could pay for a phone.
I got a call at 9:30. And then I think that's when
Right.
that discussion took place about whether to give this phone to the police or not. I said, you haven't got any issue with it, give him the phone. Give him the phone. And then I got a call.
See, I haven't really gotten to the point where I've been able to see this stuff, Pointer Lover. Where did they say that there was a lot of blood in the car? Because like we did go through like the car evidence log and stuff like that. That's really interesting. Maybe from coughing, like maybe it wasn't, the act wasn't done in the house. Maybe it was, you know, he drugged her and then did it in the car and it was her like coughing up blood maybe. I don't know. That's really interesting. I need to dig deeper into that.
I went to bed. I was 10 or something. I'm all tucked in the bed. I got the boys with me. And I may have been partially asleep because I had my phone on silent. And then I woke up because the phone was vibrating. And then my watch would have been in the office. So the phone was vibrating. By the time I got it, there was no connect. So then that was at 10:42. And then I made an out call at 10:43. And then I'm being, the conversation was about, you need to come up here.
And who says that?
They both did because they were on speaker.
Okay.
And Stephan said, hey, you need to come up here. And I said, okay.
Hi, Sherry.
I said, you know, so we discussed, you know, they were being kicked out. They didn't have a place to stay. So I said, well, we need to figure out where to go for, where to stay, what have you. And so I'm jumping in the shower, packing a bag, talking to Dad.
Okay. So I must have the pics too, because I just got all the files from criminality. So I just haven't gone through everything that she gave me because she just gave it to me last night, like after the live stream on Alex's channel. So I will definitely examine those pictures. And then when we can convene back for this case, I can give you opinion again. And hi, Sherry. I don't know if you heard me because the audio was playing, but good to see you.
You know, make the plans to leave, and which I did it just after midnight. I tried to make a call to them at 11:56. It went to voicemail, and then I called her back at, now we're into Wednesday, so I called her back at 12 to let them know I was on my way. And then I also called my wife because when I left, the front door, if you notice, has an electronic keypad on it. That's what I did to drink. No, okay, thank you. It wasn't working. And it's been it's electronic and it's batteries in there since the day we moved here, so 4 years old. So when I try to lock it, it's not flashing or anything. I did get it to lock, but I wanted her to know that, hey, if you go out, you're going to have to come back in through the garage door. And the only way to do that if you had a clicker in your remote in your visor, but you weren't going to be able to get in through the front door. And then I got a call from them at 1:18, lasted for 2 minutes, and then at 1:51, 50 seconds, because I arrived at the hotel.
What were the conversation at the 118 area? What was that conversation about?
Just confirmation of where they were and where we were staying and the address of the hotel, because it was out off of west of Disney off the 429.
And from what I understand,
Yes, Christine, I did see that. Let me see if I saved that article. I did read something about drugs. Let me look.
did you pay for the hotel or did they pay for it?
They paid for theirs, and I paid for mine, but then it said a pet-friendly hotel, or pet-friendly if you pay $150 for the night. Okay, so, all right, so I paid for the dog to stay.
Okay, their dog.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I actually reimbursed her for it.
All right, and when you got to the hotel, you had conversations with Jen and Stefan?
Yeah, we were just greeting, gave Stefan a hug and, chit-chatted for a few minutes. I was busy checking in because they had already completed their check-in. They went up to their room. They were on the opposite end of me, but we were on the same floor. I went out to the car and park my car, get my stuff and bring it in and go to my room. And then I went to their room, spent about 10 minutes with them, no more than 15. And then I was heading back to my room to go to bed.
What were the conversations when you were in their room?
I don't really recall. It was just, everybody settled in, everybody okay. We'll just meet in the morning and see what unfolds at that time. I'm sure there was going to be some more interviews or what have you. I plan to go to the office. Our corporate office is in Orlando, so I plan to go. So I was up 6:30, 7 or so, 6:30. Then I left the hotel around 7:30 to go to the office.
Okay. When you left to go to the office, was Stephen and Jen still there?
As far as I know, I don't know. I come to find out later when I got a phone call from Jen around 10 o'clock, 9:48 or so. I think it was 9:49. She called me and lasted for about a minute to ask me if Stephan was with me. I don't know. Well, he's not here. How long has he been gone? Maybe 25 minutes. I said, okay, well, all right, maybe he's up running around, whatever. So then I get a call from her about at 10:17. Don't recall what that conversation was about. Then there was another call, 10:47. And I think, matter of fact, I'm trying to recall what time we talked about his not being there. And then I called back and said, I told her, I said, go down to the lobby. If he was gone for 25 minutes, go down to the lobby. Maybe he's down there. Seemed logical. And then after I hung up, I called her back and said, are your car keys there? And she said, no. I said, okay, interesting. So then I got a call back from her later and saying that the detective had called and said they were going to come over within the hour to visit with them. And I said, okay, I'm on my way. So I left the office and drove over there and thinking, well, he's going to be in a world of hurt if he's not there when they come back because they'll probably put a bolo out on him and then just decide to arrest him because he's wandering around. What's he doing? So
when you got back, was he there?
No, he didn't show up for another 15 or 20 minutes. Okay. And then do you know if Jen's car has a GPS in it? Nav system?
It does, yes.
Okay, well, that's part of his lie. So, he came back in and said, well, I got lost in the back roads of Disney, no GPS and what have you. And I didn't think about this till later. I thought, wait a minute, Jen's got a newer car. Most of them have a GPS system in it. So because he didn't have a phone, and obviously he didn't have hers, he was trying to wind his way back to the hotel. but couldn't because he didn't have a GPS when in fact he did have a GPS.
Now there was talks that,
And it doesn't even seem like as the father's catching him in lies, it doesn't even seem like the dad's like affected by it. And yeah, this is room number 4. So the next few images are going to be the room that supposedly they were sleeping and spent their night together in. So just let me know if anything stands out to you guys in those photos.
of that he may have came here that morning.
Well, so when I finally got in to see Alex Wednesday evening, he said, what exit do you get off at when you come back to Northport? Tested my exit numbers, and I said, I think it's 179, Toledo Blade. And he said, did you know that Stefan was in Northport at 7:45 that morning? I said, really? No, I didn't. Then I later learned it was really 6:30ish. Which meant that, and I had my timeline all screwed up. I thought I departed their room at 3:30 when in fact it was more like 2:30. So I was thinking, gosh, I just went to bed, and then he turned around and got out of there and went down to Northport. But when I learned about that, I couldn't imagine why. And then Alex is telling me, well, we have information that he went to your storage unit. So that led us down a rat hole, and then I found out that was completely wrong.
Okay, so now he's talking about the storage unit. And now, yes, so room number 4, these were some photos that I did flash through. Definitely has extra locks on the door. I think we can kind of surmise why. Definitely wanted to make sure no one got in there. Now, this is the handgun that Jennifer Soto mentioned to the cops in her interview and said that it would be found in that number 4 room.
That access storage facility had been accessed for 2 weeks, and that was me going to put the lock back on that I had incorrectly relocked my unit 2 weeks ago, now almost 3 weeks ago. So that was wrong. The time of his entering Northport was wrong. It was really an hour earlier, hour and 15 minutes earlier, and he never went access the storage unit. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, he must have been really disappointed if he was coming to this house because he couldn't get in the front door, and that door was locked. And he knew that that if he came in, chances are he would put the dogs on high alert and set them off, which would have got her up. And I asked her, I said, what would you have done if Stephan was standing in the middle of the house and you weren't expecting him? It's like, what are you doing here? And God knows what would have taken place at that point and why he was here.
Dad? Why are you here?
Why did I go to Orlando? Because I can tell you the amount of time I spent with him at Hurley, 3 occasions, was a total of 30, 35 minutes. It's the amount of time that I had spent with him. Because when he got back to that hotel room, the both of them went back to bed and they slept. And there was no waking the dead. And up until 2 o'clock, I'm trying to get him to eat something.
Ridiculous. So Madeline's missing. They're staying at a hotel room. His dad comes into town to help him out with whatever he needs, and they're sleeping the day away while Madeline's missing. So take Stefan out of the equation. Jennifer is just snoozing away while her daughter's missing.
Jen and I went down and had some lunch, but I have no idea why he was here, other than to get in the house to get something that maybe try to steal some money from me, maybe steal something of value, to sell it, what have you. I had no idea.
So when you, so on Tuesday, when he eventually made it back to the hotel, you're saying you and Jen went to go eat, but Stefan didn't want to go?
No, you couldn't wake him up. He was out of it, dead to the world.
Okay. Now, I was told by Northport PD when they came and talked to, I'm assuming you, one night, that you may have mentioned the dogs barking sometime throughout the night.
They went on high alert and I looked at my watch because I was in here alone. 3:19 in the morning. I had all 5 of them sleeping with me since he wasn't here to sleep with the boys. They all went from dead asleep to springing up in the air and standing on all 4 feet, all of them looking at my window and giving the war bark. That's not a war bark. That's a wolf.
Yeah.
When they do it, it's a sound that will make your skin wake to goosebumps. And I didn't have the gun in my room. I don't usually use it. I don't usually keep it in there. I had to come and look for a flashlight. I let all the dogs out here. And then I did not unlock the security lock on the door. I just took the flashlight and went like this to see if there was a critter in the yard. We have bobcats. We have all kinds of stuff out here. So didn't see anything in the yard. Didn't see anything out the front. Went and looked through the office window. Didn't see anything out there. So didn't see a car. I thought, okay, well, we must have had a critter, and I just missed it. You know, they dig holes and come under the fence and drive the dogs nuts. Rabbits especially. We had one last night.
And you're saying that your code to the storage facility was not used on that Tuesday?
No, the storage unit, Northport Police told me was, they misread it, but they said the last access, because I didn't think Stephan had my access code unless when we were there in December, he decided to memorize it. And I keep it in my contacts, because obviously I don't use it that often. I'm not going to commit to memory. But I was there 2 weeks ago because they called me up and said, hey, you know, we're doing an audit. We got an audit that's going to happen, and we check all the units, and you didn't lock your unit properly. So, you know, it's just slide it over, bolted, and then it's got 2 holes. You drop your padlock in there, lock it. Well, apparently I locked it on the outside. I didn't think I did, but anyway, it must have. So I went over there the next day and properly locked it. So,
any reason why he would come here? Does he have any other friends or close people that he would?
Well, I mean, he has a limited number of friends. I don't know, maybe he was going to hook up with one of them, Frank being one of them. It's the one I know that he's is closely associated with, and when he goes out, it's with him. And we haven't heard of anybody else that he's socializing with, so I'm assuming he would have gone out with Frank. But other than just gaining access to this house, and there's no way he would have broken in here, because impact window's not going to do that. And the front door not working, so he was screw blue tattoo. I checked the car, you know, after the Northport Police left to see if there was any marks on the door, to see if he was trying to pry the car open, but no, I didn't see any marks on it. So I guess he was here for an hour and 15 minutes or so before he had to make tracks to get back to Orlando, but have no idea what he did for that amount of time. Maybe he came down here thinking he would throw the police off. If they obviously found a way to track him or something, maybe they said, well, he disposed of the body or disposed of something down here, but have no idea, other than just coming here and stealing something from us.
You don't know if he has his own credit cards or anything like that, do you?
He has one, maybe 2 credit cards at best that are his, and nothing else.
Okay.
All right, guys. So looks like this image is back in Jen Soto's room because of the Christmas tree. Now remember, in the documents we read, I don't see it, but in the documents that we read when it was describing Jen's room, it said that one single white crock was found. Now, when she went missing, they both described her as wearing socks with white Crocs. When the trash was collected, they found one white Croc in there. Remember, guys? So it's always been strange to me, and I wonder if there is a photo of the white Croc in her room, but it is mentioned that the other white Croc was in Jen's room that morning. So that's always kind of stuck out to me. So right now we have the interview is still around 50 minutes left. I really like to just do 1.5-hour streams. So let's Why is her bed stripped? I think that they collected things for evidence. So let's just stop it here for now, and we can dig in deeper on Monday or Tuesday or even Wednesday next week. And we've got other things that we're going to dig into as well when it comes to this case. So not only are we going to look through photos, you know, I'll see in the time from now until we discuss this again, I'll look at the photos of the mention of the blood in the car and all that, and share other things with you guys too that are in these files. So, okay, there is a pic of the crock in Jen's room. Awesome. So I will find that. There is a photo with those ones, I believe. Okay. Okay, so yes, join me on Monday, guys. So Monday, we're probably going to do the rest of the Sarah Boone interrogation. We started that last week as sort of our recap before her trial. That's coming up in October. And then, yeah, we'll just cover other cases throughout the week. So thank you, Scott, and everyone for being here. Thank you for hitting the like button. And yeah, just hit it on the way out. And I can't wait to discuss other cases with you guys next week. And you guys have a wonderful weekend. And we will talk very, very soon. So bye, everybody.